Welcome to the Immerse podcast. We are your hosts, Alex O'Keefe and Dan Ramsden.
We aim to immerse you in education via our guests, bring communities together, embrace positive change and help create solid habits that yield the path for our health and longevity.
Right, here we go. Right guys, welcome to the Immerse podcast, everybody. This is a special occasion. We're going to introduce our guest very shortly. We've got a very special guest with us today, but this marks an occasion for us. We're sat inside of our own design sauna, which feels nice, Dan, doesn't it?
It does. It's been a long time.
It's been a hell of a long time. It started off as a podcast for us, and now we've married the podcast and the brand together. We just thought it makes sense to bring the podcast inside the product. And when we obviously wanted to get into the sauna space, we knew that we wanted to create something that would foster conversation, and that's exactly why one of the reasons why we're pushing this product is because it makes people connect and you have great conversations in the sauna. So here we are, first one in the sauna, and today's guest is Mark Dean.
Thanks for having me.
How you doing, brother?
First in the sauna, Mark, with the quickest podcast ever done, because I'm a win with this. 8 minutes and I'm done.
It's getting quite hot.
Yeah, it's getting hot.
So for people that don't know you, mate, I'm going to give you a little intro and then you just shout me if I've missed anything. But formerly a man of motocross, riding for 10 years.
Yeah.
You then went into the world of being an electrician full time, a working man. And then more recently, mate, you've got into the HYROX space. You've become one of the most talked about names in HYROX. And most recently, you've switched over full-time athlete, mate. Yeah. You've left the Sparky behind, and now you're full-time athlete, sponsored athlete. So, what a journey that is, mate. Have I missed anything out there?
No, that's
Juggling
4 kids.
4 kids.
Throw some kids in there as well.
Yeah.
But that's it. Good to go. Yeah.
4 kids. Wow, that's.
I think
that sounds worse than it is.
I think that's something that's really important for other people listening. It's like that is very relatable.
Yeah.
It's like everybody wants to try and stay healthy, improve the training and the performance, but it's like, but I've got this and I've got that, and you've got 4 kids, and I know how hard 2 kids is.
Yeah.
So that's very relatable to many people.
Yeah.
So it's a case of, how do you do that? How do you juggle all these plates?
I think it just comes down to kind of what you want, and time management as well is massive. So like for me, obviously, I want to progress in HYROX, I want to be fitter, obviously, so then that has to come with, you've got to choose your times wisely around your kids as well, do you know what I mean? So you've got to commit time for both and prioritise both as well. I think if you want, whatever you want in life, I think you can make time. Maybe not as much as you necessarily want to, but I think you can make time. So it's just fitting it all in. Time management's massive. Yeah.
I just want to say, before we actually fully get into this conversation, that I've had a massive insight into what it takes to get to the level that you're at right now. I would.
That was a warm-up.
I would think that. Thanks for that. That's very demasculating. But it gave me a big wake-up call as to what you have to put your body through on a regular basis. For me, I'm not an endurance out-and-out kind of guy. But that were a 10 out of 10 in terms of difficulty for me. And that's your usual kind of jam. We're about 80 minutes of pain.
Just to let everyone know, this morning we stupidly let Mark programme a workout for us, and but it's intentional for us. We love to go into the trenches with people before we have a chat. I think it forms a great bond.
Great nice with a workout.
And we've seen everyone at the worst point, really. Me a bit more. But it's very intentional, mate, like going into the trenches with people. I think it just forms that, like I say, stronger bond. But that were fucking spicy this morning, mate. Very, very spicy.
Is that your usual run-of-the-mill kind of workout?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, when we set a programme of workout for us, I probably my plan this week wasn't probably to go as hard as I did this morning, because like you say, you know yourself now that the intensity of them sessions is really tough. So you can't do that every day. So yesterday I had that kind of day. So today was meant to be a little bit easier, but obviously we had the podcast, we had the session already planned. But yeah, it's not something I will do every day, but it's something that I think you need to do at least 3 times a week. And also I think it's good to get together. Like obviously even I pushed a bit harder this morning because we was like a little doubles, you go, I go, we was racing against the time, racing against the meters. So it made you push a little bit more, where when you're on your own, you probably do back off a little bit and settle into an easier pace. So yeah, it pushed me as well, so I enjoyed it. It was intense.
Well, me and you were running at the same time, mate, and
I was trying
I had a head start, mate, but
couldn't catch you.
You pipped me, and that was motivating for me, because I just thought I'm hearing this big machine stomping behind me, so I best crack on.
And then I think a little bit of strategy then come into it, so I thought, right, well, I'm not going to burn myself out catching you up for the sake of losing meters on the bike, because the goal was to get as many meters as you could on the bike.
True.
And that's the same as anything, like especially with IROX, you've got to be strategic. Is that the word, strategical?
Yes.
You've got to manage your time, you've got to manage your energy, you've got to manage efficiency, everything, so that you're as strong at the end as you are at the beginning. So I think we discussed it in as well. We decided to just kind of control ourselves so that we couldn't be as strong at the end of that and gain some meters. And did we end up winning? Let's just say we did for this.
You literally did.
No, it was close. It was close, wasn't it? It was close.
The strategy worked, mate. I think you pipped us by about 20 metres.
That's it.
I just want to say that for me, I was quite happy to leave it there. That's my usual sort of time frame.
Right, okay. After the first block.
That was a grind. And then it was a quick turnaround, 60 seconds rest, and then we're off again. And that level of intensity is a real insight as to what you guys have to go through to get to the level that you are. You mentioned it after the workout. Anybody can do IROX because of the skill level required. But when you get to an elite level, there's so much more to it.
So much of it. Like that's the biggest thing I've noticed, and it's what you hear a lot. You hear it quite a lot of CrossFitters really about it being low skill set, and which it is. It's good in a way because you can have anybody can do IROX, like any size, any shape, any age, and that's the best thing about it, and that's where the low skill set comes in. But when you start getting to 60 minutes or under, that low skill set just becomes like the intensity of that level you've got to train at and you've got to be at. It's just like another level. And like you've seen yourself now with professional CrossFit athletes what are coming over and having a go at it. And they're underestimating the intensity. And the times are nowhere near as good as the top guys. They're good, but that's where you actually realise how tough it is. It does get tough at the top level. And that's one thing I've noticed with the transitioning across and going from, say, singles open to singles pro to then trying to chase the elite. It's just been a lot of stepping stones to take on all at once.
Let's talk about that transition, mate, because I was looking at we collaborated on a post, mate. We were very grateful you were supporting our ice baths when we did ice baths. And I just looked at it this morning, I think it was April last year.
Right, was that that answered the questions?
Yeah, you did
that was
questions
the first thing I've ever done like that. I was like nervous. My girlfriend was like, I had to wait till she left the house because she's going to make me feel awkward here. So she's gone out, I've got this video out, I'm answering these questions.
It was good, man.
That was really good.
What?
You wouldn't have thought.
I was nervous doing that, I have got a little bit more comfortable with doing stuff like that. It's kind of been part and parcel of like kind of interviews, and I've done a couple of podcasts and stuff, and it's me and you can have a conversation now for an hour and it'll flow. Put a camera in your face and it's just
like,
especially if it's semi-scripted. It's a skill in its own right.
Just relax, have the conversation.
Exactly. But the point was, I was looking at that post and it was April last year. And since then, mate, because the questions that you answered, you said I'm a full-time electrician. And now, you're a full-time athlete, mate. You're working with March on 247, represent some of the biggest names in space. So, talk us through, mate, that transition of full-time Sparky. And by the way, I think I've got you worked out. I think I've worked out how you've done it.
Go on.
You've learned how to wire up a spotlight. Then you've gone and stood under it.
Stood under it, is that the spotlight might flicker off that way.
Dodgy one.
That's it, dodgy,
Talk us through that transition.
I mean, obviously, it's come with High Rocks, hasn't it? So I've always competed, I've always trained, I've always been into fitness. Never really had my break. I've done Ironman, I've obviously motocross. Always just like mid-pack, never been at the front of anything. So I've never had the opportunity to kind of pursue my dreams and break away from what I've never really thoroughly enjoyed doing, which is electrician. But yeah, so it just comes to the point where I just started doing High Rocks, started doing really well. And then obviously, like, it was a bit of a smaller community then, and it's just growing in popularity now, but everybody knows everybody. So I kind of just rose a little bit with the event. As the events got bigger, I feel like I've got a little bit more involved in it, and it just got a few good results. Your name gets spoke about a little bit. And then I started getting asked a lot for training plans. Obviously at the time I was working and I was just interested in training and myself, and I just kept passing them off onto friends that owned online training companies or whatever they did. And I was like, hang on a minute, like I'm getting asked that much here. I might just start doing it myself. And that's literally what happened. Just started giving out a few workouts, I got some good feedback. And I think my audience is, like I say, we was just discussed then about it being more relatable to probably the everyday working man. So my audience is a lot of that kind of person, people that work full time, people that have kids. I've not come from a professional sporting background, I've not got all the time in the world to train, I've had to do the best I can with the time I've had. And that's how I program, and that's how it came about. So more results came, started the coaching, and then I ended up just, like I said, before the Worlds last year, I just felt like everything was clicking, felt invincible, and obviously got the UK record in my age category, got the world title with Jake as a double, which obviously, like, I think he's probably going to start, I'm not going to be able to carry on, keep promoting this world championship soon, but I'll milk it while I can. But yeah, and then literally got in contact with Represent, contact with March On, and it was just nice to be recognised and nice to be approached by like big names and stuff. And I think I can remember when I got approached by it was actually Ollie was the first person to reach out, and I was at work and I got this inbox off my phone and had a blue tick straight away. Thinking, who's that? Ollie March On.
Owen.
Would love a chat.
I
was like, what's this? This is sick. Like, I've looked up to Ollie for a long time because he's obviously been a big name as in the sport, and I've been at events with friends, and he's been there with his stands, and he's someone that I've looked up to in that industry a long time. So to be approached by him and be given the opportunity by the team, it's just been really good, and developed really good friendships with the team. And Fran and Lauren, who I speak to on the most, I've developed really good friendships with them. And then same thing with Represent. Got really good friends now within the company. Get looked after. It's been really good.
Amazing, man.
Yeah. I think the beautiful thing about what they're doing as well is they're not just fat old businessmen.
No.
They're high-flying businessmen.
They've been there, they've done it. They've got certain values, and I mean, obviously they've. I'm guessing they've obviously seen something in me what kind of portrays those values a little bit. And I mean, they're all hard working. They all still get up every day. They all train early doors. They've all got kids. A lot of them have got kids anyway. So hopefully that's just one of the values that they kind of picked up in me, and hopefully I think that's why it came about.
I think it's sharing that understanding that it is difficult. And it's quite easy to hit that snooze button on the morning if you've got.
Of course it is. That's it. You know? Yeah, that's it. That's where the kind of makes or breaks you. You either want it and you'll get up, or you don't want it and nothing's really gonna trigger us off. Keep lining.
What makes you want it? What motivates you?
So I've always had that drive. Like, I can remember when I did motocross, I wasn't the most gifted, talented rider, but I just knew that by being as fit as I possibly can, I can withstand the endurance of the race. So even when I was young, I can remember I would get up before school and I would run before school, or I would bike before school, and I was like 13, 14. There was nobody else doing things like that. My mum got me these, I was into like protein shakes and stuff. She got these, they were called build-ups, if anyone remembers. I was only like, if I was 14, and I'd have this protein shake at 6 in the morning, sat there like I could feel the gears off this protein shake, yeah. I get on my bike and it was a dual suspension bike, so I was bouncing around this it was like an 8-mile loop. It used to take me like, I'm not sure, it was like 40 minutes. And I was bouncing about on this suspension bike, but just fucking going hell for leather, just trying to beat my time every day. And I've always had that drive to just train, I've always had that drive to push myself. And I think that's just what's kind of come out in me even more. And then when you start getting results, I think that just triggers something in your brain again to keep pushing and just keep that ball rolling.
Yeah, a big word that's thrown about a lot in this industry is the word discipline.
Yeah.
And you know, it can sound a little bit fluffy sometimes because it's the reality of life, and it's like, yeah, I keep hearing discipline.
Yeah.
But we have to be real as well.
Yeah.
And with all this discipline that we have to have, your recovery's got to be right, your nutrition's got to be right. You've got to plan ahead, you've got to get your training in and work at the intensity that you do.
Yeah.
What part of the discipline do you struggle with?
I'd probably say more the diet side of things really. I mean, I am on point with my nutrition. I think that's just down to like having kids and stuff and the cupboards being full of biscuits and shit and sometimes if you're underfueled and you're struggling at night, you're starving, like it's easy to just slip into that biscuit drawer. But discipline with training I've always had, and I think that's probably just picking out, I think, is my worst thing. That's probably the hardest thing for me, is to not pick out.
Yeah, that's it.
It's tough, and it's tough to
nutrient timing and
that's it.
those sorts of things.
Especially when your output's heavy like that, mate, and you just crave it, aren't you?
At the minute, I am more switched on with it now because I understand now. I've had a couple of races now this season, and I know exactly what level I need to be at, and I know what I need to do, and that's making me step away from the biscuits and just try and leave them alone for a little bit, just to try and cut weight. I need to cut some weight, and also like you do notice that the healthier you are and the better you are dialed into your nutrition, you do notice things like, so if I was to eat a bit of shit at night, I'd feel it in the morning. I'd wake up lethargic, or my session wouldn't be as good, and you do start to feel the benefits and that the negative side of not being nutrition properly.
It's like your body becomes really like intuitive, innit?
Yeah, of course.
Like when you're so like clean and diet,
of course,
it feels that little bit of poison, doesn't it?
Definitely, yeah.
And it's it's an hard one, that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. What in terms of the recovery?
Yeah.
Obviously, the volume of what you do.
Yeah.
Even what you're about 88
kilos.
Yeah. So you're a big lad. You know, strong, muscular, and you're doing all this endurance.
Yeah.
What about your other training around this intensity? What about your strength work? What about your recovery days?
Yeah. So
what do you
this is one thing, since having, obviously before when I was working, I felt like I probably didn't recover enough, but that was just the kind of the hand I was dealt. I had time to train, and I had short time to train. It was either, do I do mobility, do I stretch, do I recover, or do I get a slogging?
Yeah.
Because I have literally got time for that one session, so it would always be a slog. 10 times out of 10 it'd be a slog. Since I've got more time now on my hands and throughout the day, I'm trying to like construct a solid week where I maybe go one day hard, one day easy, one day hard, one day easy. The easy days would be like a zone 2 bike or a really easy run. I am focusing a lot more. I've got a physiotherapist I go to every couple of weeks. I do sauna a lot more. I still ice bath quite often. Nutrition again is massive. And I have regular massage, so once a week I go to massage. And it's either a full hour of massage or it's a 30-minute massage, and then we do a little bit of strength and conditioning as well.
Right.
So I am really looking after my body. And like I say, I'm probably getting on, I'm not saying I'm old, but I'm getting on the older side of the
wiser side.
The wiser side, yeah. I think everyone does the same. When you're young, you kind of burn your brains out, and then you kind of revert back to recovery later when it's sometimes too late. So I don't want it to get to that point where it's too late. I want to nail that now, and I want to be in this game as long as possible, as fresh as possible.
I just picked up on what you said about zone 2. For anybody that doesn't know what is that, what does that mean?
So zone 2 is just like a less intense, lower heart rate session. It's something you can withstand for a longer period of time. It's something what you do need to have into your training. It's something what I never had much of in my training. Might have had a long run on a Sunday. Again, given the time I had, it was just hard slogs, not much zone 2. I did do a little bit more when I was Ironman training. You can't wait on a bike for 3-4 hours and be at zone 4, zone 5. But yeah, it's just like a longer, sustainable session. What's just kind of managing your overall intensity as well, and you can withstand it. You're not kind of pushing too much.
How's your training changed from being full-time work to now? What's the differences?
So the difference is the time frames. Difference is I'm trying to obviously warm up and cool down, which is massive. I've never done that before. I've always been straight into a slog.
It's just a time thing though, isn't it?
Yeah, of course, yeah. So I never had 2 hours to go and do a session, but now I might actually be out for 2 hours, because by the time I get to the gym and I've had a warm up and I've session, then I've had a cool down, you could be there 2 hours. And that's where like a lot of people struggle, because I know there's a few people that do give out plans, stuff like that, and plans are based around a lot of intense training and quite a lot of hours, which is not really relatable. So yeah, that's why I kind of made the plans I did, like a 60-minute slog, just for that to be more relatable for the working person.
Part 2. Right, part 2, lads. We had to have a bit of a break. So
A bit behind rate.
At least the sauna works. That's the good news. But yeah, mate, we've obviously had a good initial little chat and found out a bit about your background there, mate. But as fathers, all of us in this sauna, we know the beautiful world of fatherhood. What's it like, mate? How did your life change when you became a father, and how does it work with fitness and everything else?
I mean, to be fair, it's all I've known, because I had my little lad when I was 20. Wow. So obviously through all the years of, I'd only just been quitting motocross for probably maybe only a year. I was still involved in it. I was still doing watching it and stuff, and all my friends were from motocross. But so from that point of like kind of just ending my career, I then had Mason, which is my oldest lad. So that's all I've known. So he's always been around everything, like the fitness and whatever I've been doing. So it's just the norm for me now to just have kids and be involved with it like that.
Has he followed your footsteps?
Yeah, so he's obsessed with motocross now. He wants to race motocross, he wants to do high rocks.
All right, nice.
Took him to London last year, and him and my other little lad, my girlfriend's son, they did high rocks together.
Did they do doubles?
No, they did it separate, because one was in 7 to 8 category, one was in 9 to 10.
Right, yeah.
So they both enjoyed it, but Mason, like Lucas, where he just kind of got through it, Mason really wants to do it because I do it. Right. So he'll just keep going, and
love that.
He loves it. He's definitely inspired by a lot of things I do. Asking me questions all the time. What was it like when I did motocross? How did I start training for it? And he loves it.
I think that's the ultimate goal, though. As a father, it's like you don't want to be pushy. I was listening to a Nick Bear podcast actually. They were talking about fatherhood and fitness. And they were talking about not pushing your child, but pulling them. So rather than, do this, it's like, I'll show you. If you want to do it, I'll pull you along with me. Would you say that's how it works in your house?
I've never like pushed him into anything. Like obviously, as all kids start off footballing, then he's kind of the same situation as me. So he knew I did football for Aspel Juniors, where I live, so he wanted Aspel Juniors. Then he went down the route of wanting to play rugby, because I played rugby. Now he's kind of not really. He used to be really good at football, to be fair. But he just lost his confidence a little bit, and then he obviously went down the rugby route. Never really took to that. Just like he just likes putting all the gear on. So before it started, he sent me. He was at his mum's. He sent me a selfie, gum shielded, head guard on, ball.
You were just telling us about your lad Mason, and the fact that he's mirroring your your actions and your behaviours.
If you I have actually posted a few videos on my Instagram, and he's at every corner. Come on, Dad, come on, Dad. He loves it. And so he's into motocross now. He obviously wants to get into Irox and do a bit of that as well. So we'll just see how it goes.
Does that give you that extra energy when you're?
Do you know what? It does.
You ever hear him?
Oh, yeah. You can't know. Literally, I come off and everyone's like, "Oh my God, your son was so loud." I'm like, when you're in the pain cave, and you're going through that.
You don't hear a lot, do you?
No, but you can hear him, and he's like telling me to go harder, Dad, harder. I'm thinking, I'm going as fucking hard as I can, and he's telling me to go harder. Like, yeah, you hear him. Everyone hears him. He's literally he runs right track, screaming his head off. You'll see a few videos on Instagram of him. He loves it.
I love that, man.
Yeah.
I was looking at something actually because I'm saying with my daughter, mate, she watches me go out running, and then we've started his own little run club on a Sunday. We call it Bodie's Run Club, Bodie and Daddy's Run Club, and she's like, she wakes up and she knows it's that day, and it's like, are we going running today, Dad? She's only 3. I just think, just giving them that foundation from it, where it's normalised, isn't it? It's not a taboo thing today, working out. Like, I'm doing press ups in front room, she'll get next to me, and like, you know, it's just the mirroring thing. I looked, there's that, like the scientific side of it, you like this now, it's a bit nerdy.
Cheers.
There's something called mirror neurons in the kid's brain, and it basically, I heard like an analogy of a lion and its cub, where the lion doesn't like gather its cubs round and go, right, this is going to be the plan here, you're going to go there.
They just follow the...
It says, watch me.
Power.
And then that's exactly what like us as fathers are like. You know, it's like, just watch me. I'm not going to push you. Watch me. So I think it's the best thing we can do for his kids now.
Definitely. I think with everything as well, isn't it? Like, even with like just the way you eat or the way you approach anything, everything it's all comes into place, and their brains will be ticking on when they see it.
But that also can work in a negative way. Because then it's like someone's always shouting at the kids. Don't be surprised when they're going to shout back. It works both ways, doesn't it? Yeah.
So I've got a tendency to be a bit grown most of the times. You might have picked up on that.
Oh yeah. I am as well.
And so my kids are too. So I'm like, I'll call them out on it, and I'm like, yeah, well, we are your kids.
We watch you.
I'm just like, damn. Okay. It's one of those, isn't it? Going back to the nutritional side. Obviously, that's something else that you picked on in terms of, you know, your kids seeing that, your kids seeing how you feel in your body and what you're doing. It's not just about the exercise, it's about that. And I picked up on something that you said earlier about you were massively under-fueling. And can you just tell us about that process, how you learned about that and what you had to do to figure out what you needed to do?
So like I said, I'm trying to get small percentages better everywhere where I can now to get the best possible athlete out of myself as I can. So part of that was kind of having a blood test done, having my resting metabolic rate done. Got it right that time. What else did they have? Like DEXA scans, I've had everything, trying to cover all areas, and one of the things what I didn't know was that my resting metabolic rate was actually a lot higher. So my maintained calories is a lot higher than I thought, which I think maybe I've been under fueling during like hard slogs, hard weeks, hard months, and over a period of time it does break you down a little bit. And
so
I feel
what was showing up in your results then that made you sort of trigger a different response and think I need to do something different?
Just like a little bit of fatigue. I mean, like I say, I'm always motivated, but obviously I'm still human at the end of the day as well. I still do lack motivation sometimes, and for me to suddenly decide to start lacking a little bit more than usual, there's something going wrong. So I decided to just get some further testing done to see what possibly it could be, and that was one of the things, was a little bit of lacking of fuel, which I think over time just deteriorated me a little bit and made me a little bit low on energy.
Right. So what's sort of a typical day of nutrition? How you map it out? What sort of calories are you putting in?
So I would always give my weekly training plan to the guy that's doing my nutrition, and then he will just give my calories back based on output. So obviously every day is slightly different. Like I said, with an easy day, a hard day. On a hard day, output might be like 5,000 calories. So you've got to put X amount of calories back in you to. Also, I'm trying to lose weight as well, so there is some science going into it. You know, I'm trying to fuel as much as I can, but I'm also trying to be in a small deficit to just cut some weight before Christmas, because I need to get down for my next events next year. And yeah, it's all going good at the minute.
Nice. What's your goal? If you're walking around at 88,
yeah, 88 now. So I want to get down to 85. I feel like I've been at my best performance when I was just under 87, so that's 86.5. And I feel like I was at my best performance there. So if I can get down to 85, just kind of test the water a little bit, just being a little bit lighter, which hopefully might make me a little bit more efficient with the transition into the runs. As long as I can maintain the strength that I need, I think it should be a fighting weight.
That's another question, you know, in terms of pulling and pushing sleds and the output on the ergs. You know, that requires
of course,
a lot of power and strength as well. To maintain that intensity.
Definitely,
it takes a toll on lighter people, so I guess it's hard to find that sweet spot.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, 85 still, that would be the lightest I would have been, but it's still pretty handy for an Irox athlete. You know what I mean? There is some guys what are probably still touching 90, but they're probably a lot taller as well. So, but the average, I bet the average guys are probably like low 80s at that level.
Yeah.
So, just trying to catch up to them.
Yeah, that's it. It's surprising that you would just associate with endurance as, you know, people that are a lot slimmer.
Yeah.
But you know, we've met Hunter. We met him last year, didn't we, in London. We met your Hyrox partner Jake.
Yeah.
Yourself. You're big dudes.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
You know, you know, it's actually quite surprising how big you guys are to what you can do on a fitness level.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I take my hat off to you, mate, because you've got to get everything right.
Definitely, yeah. There's a lot more comes into it. Like I said, when you get to that elite stage, there's a lot of stuff you've got to take on board and try and work towards. Yeah, definitely.
For someone who might be listening, Mark, who's not necessarily in that elite category, might be just getting into Irox, or you know, like myself, I've done a couple now. Being humbled, like you do.
We all get humbled. I still get humbled.
Still get humbled now.
No matter what, you always get humbled.
Yeah, I did this morning.
Yeah. I mean, like, what would be your kind of some of your main tips that you could give someone that's getting into Hyrox to, you know, improve their time, become a better Hyrox athlete?
I think just kind of work towards weaknesses. So, I mean, for me, anyone that hasn't done Hyrox is maybe just do a couple of months just getting used to the transitions of stuff, getting used to the movements, running as much as you can. There's nothing better than just jumping in and just doing a competition, because we've said before, you could train for 3-4 months, you'll get on that stage or you'll get on that on game day and you feel like you never trained in your life, because the intensity's up there, the what's it called, the adrenaline, everything's different on game day, innit? So I think just get yourself through the transitions, get yourself to a decent level, just jumping at the deep end, and then just you're continuously working on your weaknesses. I'm still working on them now. I bet Hunter's still working on them. I bet everyone's still working on the weaknesses. And that's the main priority of it, is just kind of pick up on that and just put as much effort and time into that and try and get your time in that way.
I think that's a great thing about Hyrox, is that it gives you instant feedback, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course, and you're always learning. You always feel like that's the addictive part of it. No matter how many races you do, you'll come off and knowing you could have gone better somewhere. So you'll go back and work on that, and then somewhere else will crop up. And that's the addictive thing, I think. That's what everyone's getting sucked into.
Yeah, that's it. I noticed that from my current training, I'm putting about 45 to 50 minutes of intensity into my sessions. And going beyond that, obviously that's the different level of conditioning element. You know, I think we were going for 80-ish minutes, which is going way beyond a threshold. And I just fell off the cliff, and fell off the cliff. And it's just that extra time of conditioning. So is that a case of, if someone does want to get better at Hyrox, are you recommending looking at about a 90-minute window to work out?
Yeah, I mean, again, that comes down to kind of your lifestyle as well, if you've got time to do that. So maybe that's where, for someone that's kind of just starting out, that's where your zone 2 stuff will come into play, because if you're a a 120 guy or a 130 guy, I think you need to at least do a couple of sessions a week where you're pushing the body, not pushing the body, but working the body for what, an hour and 20 or an hour and 30. The intensity obviously can be a little bit less. It's just something what gradually needs to increase. But you never, like you know yourself this morning, you've tried to jump into an 80-minute intense session off the back of a 45-minute intense session, and you'll feel like you're going to burn out. That intensity has to grow with you as you're getting fitter, and that's where like the more slower zone 2 stuff comes in. You can still, that's more sustainable for anybody, providing you've got the time to do it. But it's definitely something that I need to do myself as well, because I've come off the back of 45 to 60-minute workouts from working full time to now having the time to do 90-minute workouts and needing to do that, because I need to try and make 60 minutes more comfortable on the day. I think to do that, you need to do more within your training.
Yeah.
In terms of the business side of things, you know, you transition from electrician, were you self-employed electrician?
No,
so then obviously you've gone away from that to being your own boss, pretty much.
Yeah.
How did you find that turnover?
It's been alright, like I say, everything kind of happened. I think, I do feel like everything happened for a reason. Like, it's something I always wanted to be a part of. I've always wanted to be involved in fitness. I've trained all my life, and then all of a sudden I've got this opportunity where I've had some sponsors come along. I've managed to just jump on a coaching, online coaching business like straight away pretty easily by just probably off the back of getting some good results as well. It's just all happened really well. And obviously I was still working whilst I was doing some coaching on the side to try and build a little bit of a base at the beginning. I couldn't just jump straight into it. And yeah, so that's just, it's all just happened really well. It's just come out well at once.
It seems really organic, mate, how it's happened.
Yeah. And, it has been pretty a good, easy transition really. The hard part was just committing to leave my full-time job.
Yeah.
That was the hard part. I mean, just that bit of a.
There's a quite a well-known sort of phrase in like psychology. It's called cutting the vine.
Yeah.
So it's like you've got all this safety here.
Yeah.
You know, it's your full-time job. You're getting your wage every single month, and it's like at some point, if you want to progress in your life, you've got to cut that vine.
Yeah.
And there's people that might be in that situation now, where they're like, you know, this job's fucking killing me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm miserable, blah blah blah. So like, what advice would you give to someone who's just ready to cut that vine?
I mean, I wouldn't kind of say just cut it, because obviously, like I've got a trade that I've been doing for 16 years, so that's where a little bit of confidence came from for me to go full time, because at least worst case scenario, I've got that kind of job role to go back to.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't just cut the vine without having a backup.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not looking at it as though I want to go back doing it.
No.
I want to stay in the world of fitness for as long as I need to now, and hopefully once I've transitioned from, I do want to be more of an athlete at the minute. I don't just want to leave a job for a job. The coaching's really good, but I do want to invest a lot of time into myself and be the best athlete I can be, which, like we said, I need the time to do that. But then hopefully the transition then between, as I maybe start to fall off a little bit throughout the years, maybe the coaching will progress more, and I'll just delve into that later on. But yeah, hopefully I don't have to go back, but yeah, just I would say, I mean, I wasn't happy for a couple of years doing it, and I got to a point where I felt like to progress at Hyrox and to get better, something had to give. So I couldn't juggle family life, I couldn't juggle training, and I couldn't juggle trying to be elite and working a full-time job. So it was fine while Hyrox was just a hobby, but then off the back of it, you start striving for better results, and that's where something had to give.
Still a ballsy move.
Yeah.
Very much
It
so.
is, mate. Very empowering to yourself, isn't it?
Yeah. I just figured, like I say, I think everything fell into place. I feel like everything happened for a reason. It all just happened, and I just figured I've got 12-month contracts in place, and just take the chance where I can, because I feel like I would regret it later in life if I didn't. And that would be the biggest downfall of not doing it. If I have to go back to it, it is what it is, but if I didn't do it in the first place, I would regret that for the rest of my life.
I know this might seem like a bit of a loaded question, because I feel like I kind of know the answer, but just want to hear it from you. Do you think that being fit and being healthy has helped you make that decision easier? You know, such as ballsy moves where you're at a fork in the road and you've got to make a decision. I don't know, I mean, what's your thoughts? Do you think that fitness and... So, this might seem like a bit of a loaded question, Mark. It's kind of like, I feel like I know the answer to it, but it's almost like I need the reinforcement from someone like yourself. Due to making a difficult decision when you're at like a fork in the road, you know, you've got the safety, you've got a family, you've got a bit of pressure there in terms of providing.
Yeah.
Do you think the key ingredient is to be fit and to be healthy so that you can make these more ballsy decisions? It's got, you know, backing yourself and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely need like a bit of self-belief, and obviously it definitely helps, doesn't it, being fit and healthy, because obviously that's how I've got to where I've got to from being like that, and also from just already having results of being a kind of a part-time athlete as well, which has given me a lot of confidence, a lot of reassurance that if I did take the plunge, I know I can take it further. So that's all played a big part in it as well. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Yeah, no worries.
I felt like I needed that.
Yeah.
Just for anyone who's out there and feel like they're a bit stuck.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like a lot of people get into this mindset of, I don't know, it might be they're unhappy in a relationship, or they're unhappy in their work, or there might be something in it. And I honestly believe myself, and it's nice that you just reaffirm that the healthier you are, the fitter that you are, you're just stacking up that self-belief.
Yeah.
In you to make, you know, like, I've got this, I know I've got this,
Yeah.
because you've got to do that 100 times when you're working out and you're in the trenches.
Yeah.
You know, when you get that doubt in your mind,
To get through
this is horrible, I want to stop,
Yeah.
and you're like, no, go.
Yeah.
And it's doing that on repeat.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think it's a really powerful tool
Yeah.
for when it comes to making decisions and things like that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like that's it's an important message that I want to try hit home to people that feel like they're stuck.
Yeah.
You know?
Just keep grinding.
That's what I want to
I think that point takes a certain type of person as well, doesn't it? Like a bit. It's that not everyone has that mindset. So that's just down to the person as well. But that's definitely how you get through a lot of sticky situations. Is just keep going at it and just do the best you can.
For sure, mate.
Yeah.
What's the next thing for you now, mate? What are you really working towards? Obviously, you want to be the best athlete.
Yeah. So it's just I'm just kind of chasing results again. Within Hyrox, I've got my next event is in 8 weeks' time in Switzerland in February. So I'm just putting everything, all my eggs into that basket really. And then from that point though, I've got an event every month in a different country. I just thought, while I've got a chance to, I'm just going to book and do whatever I can, as much as I can. So from February till June, I've got a Hyrox in a different country until the Worlds in Chicago in June.
Oh wow.
So I really need to put the effort and time in now, because this is my longest block. Because after that, I maybe have 3 weeks or 4 weeks before the next event, and you're not going to see massive gains in 3 or 4 weeks. So I'm going to put the effort in now and do whatever I can now. Look after myself, put the work in, and that's where I'm going to kind of gauge as to where I'm going to be next year once I get that Switzerland event out of the way.
Travelling the world as an athlete.
Yeah, I just thought, trying to like tick off boxes and see places I've not seen before, and maybe do one with my with some friends, take the girlfriend and the kids to one, and just try and just tick some boxes as well, and see places I've not seen while competing and while being able to do it.
Nice. What's on that list then? So you've got Chicago at the end.
So Chicago's June. I've got Switzerland, Warsaw, Barcelona, Malaga, and then Chicago.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'll probably do like one with lads. Switzerland. We always go skiing with lads once a year.
Oh, brilliant.
So it'd be nice while I'm in Switzerland to just go off and go skiing for a few days afterwards. And then take the kids to Malaga. So hopefully try and let them get a little bit of a holiday out as well, because they do come to the events and stuff, but obviously when I'm on, it's a long day Hyrox. You can be really lucky. You can feel it yourself. You're sore after a few hours of stood about, so the kids are going to feel it even more. So it'd be nice to just go away with them and just let them have a bit of a holiday, and they can just kind of come to the event as and when they need to, and just it's nice sharing some moments with them as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
definitely.
Making them
and they obviously love going on planes, so
that's the bonus. That's the selling point.
That's it, yeah.
I'm excited for you, mate.
Yeah, thank you.
I think you've got tons of potential in this space, even though we are a bit wiser on the age scale, but I think that can play to your advantage as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But I think just a little bit before we wrap up, I'm just more excited for you getting into the business world as well, because I know that, like for me, mate, business has been the ultimate self-development tool. because you get to a certain barrier where you'll come up against issues, and to get past them issues you need to get better as a person yourself. You need to upskill. It's like fitness, you know. You get feedback and you know what you need to improve on, and then you'll be doing that alongside business, so it's like the ultimate
that's it.
personal growth.
I think that's
tool.
kind of why I've taken to it so well, so quickly up to now, is because I'm like so enthusiastic about it. It doesn't feel like a job. Do you know what I mean? I think that's when you've kind of created something good for yourself. When I've always felt like I've had a bloody job, and I've always got up early in the morning, and getting up at 4:30. Obviously, it's tiring, but getting up to go to the gym at 4:30 was the easy bit. Going to work after it was the slog. That was the hard bit, because I didn't really want to be doing it. Where now it's just kind of it's combining everything in one, and that's what's special about the new venture.
I think the fitness, the fact that you're so dialed in with fitness, health, nutrition, I think it does transfer into business quite naturally. There's a lot of people that are involved in fitness also are involved in business. You know, so like Ollie Marchon, you know, the Heaton brothers. It all seems to tie in together, and you've got some great role models around you there. So I just want to plant a bit of extra motivation before we go. How does it make you feel going back to being a Sparky?
Made me feel sick.
Right.
I thought of doing it.
And that were intentional, mate, so I want you to use that feeling.
I said to you before, I think because I've never like been fully satisfied with doing what I've done. I just kind of fell into it and felt like I had to do it. Now that I've got this chance to move on and do my fitness, the thought of going back now doesn't really hit well. And it's not something I want to do.
It's not an option, is it?
It's not. I'm going to make it not an option.
There we go.
That's it. Yes.
I love that. Just to wrap it up, mate, seeing as though you are our first guest in the sauna, would you like to do a bit of what we call a loilu phase, where we put the water on the stones just to round it up? Do it with your left arm.
Left?
Yeah, do it with your left,
Okay.
There he goes.
Is that enough, yeah?
The money shot.
Good.
Look at that.
There we go.
Go again.
One more.
Yeah.
Slap it on.
Look.
Oh!
Cool.
Feel that kickback.
Woo! Things by halves.
Beautiful. Mark,
Oh!
Yeah, thanks a lot, boys.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
it. Thank you.
Top man.